Hello everyone and welcome to Sunburned. Albino ranks every boss, or at least 26 of them, in Kingdom Hearts 3 from easiest to hardest. Spoilers abound. Some of the bosses will be omitted because of repeat encounters, and most of the group sex in the Keyblade Graveyard is too weird and non-traditional, but rest assured we've still got a sizable list done on Proud Mode because this game doesn't have Critical Mode because IDK, starting from 26 and working our way down to 1. Number 26, Darkside. The easiest boss in Kingdom Hearts 3 is Darkside, a name that no longer applies. You can change your transparency levels, but if you don't change your moves, it ain't saving you. He still shoots darkness, though, and the Shadow Heartless are dark, but if he's here in the final world with the likes of Naminé, what ties are keeping him from disappearing entirely? Is there a Mrs. Darkside? Do his children call him Daddy Darkside? Because if they exist and don't, they should. Darkside is still Darkside, and with the added floatiness of KH3 combat, you can reach his head at any time, even though you don't get tech points for landing finishers on it anymore, which is lame. Just attack whatever limbs are closest until he's dead so his family can mourn in peace. Number 25, Rock Golem. I guess this is a boss. He shows up repeatedly, but I'm only going to mark this one. Sora will start the fight by summoning a huge pirate ship and then proceeding to rock back and forth, spraying liquid everywhere while screaming, "Yes! Yes! Yeah, that's it! Faster!" in a game that is rated E for ejaculation. The Golem has a hard time handling such a forceful facial and gets knocked on its ass, where you can then just hit it until it dies. Art imitates life. Number 24, Rock Titan. Rock-based things have a hard time in this series, almost as hard as Sora when he's riding a ship. The Rock Titan isn't any harder than he was in the first game, especially because demolishing his feet lets you ride a goddamn roller coaster now around his heads. If you delay the finish command until after pressing X a million times, you can kill him in one go. But in this footage, my second time facing him, I wanted to see if he'd automatically die if I just finished on him right away. What'd you say? Short answer is he do not, and it'll make you repeat the foot process again, so don't finish early, she'll make you regret it. I mean, it. Number 23, Dark Cubes. Microbots by definition are like the coolest possible thing in the world, and yet the brain behind this boss fight is decidedly unimaginative. If you had control over millions of Microbots that could form anything you think of in your head, what would you turn them into in order to attack your opponents? Did you say a hand and a fist and nothing else? That's what this dude said. This is one of the most potential squandering bosses in the game. All you have to do is attack and dodge occasional shots in a clenched fist. It's like fighting Master Hand from Smash if the hand only had 2 attacks and got docked a couple thousand points for stale moves. Melee reference, some will appreciate it. Dark Cubes suck. Number 22, Ice and Lava Titan. The tornado's there too, but he's just hanging out. Run up that pillar and slash at some giant faces while avoiding massively telegraphed ice beams and lava shots. If you get a Hercules team attack, make sure you're on the pillar before you use it, and you'll do great damage. That's it. Thank you. Next. Number 21, Marshmallow. Elsa's earnest guardian abomination is absolutely destroyed by both fire and the tips of trees. He can freeze you with his breath and it lasts way too long, but he's too dumb to combo that into anything, so just wait to thaw and then melt that bitch. Number 20, Raging Vulture. This reminds me of those plane levels from Crash Bandicoot, only easier. If at any point your health drops below anything, you can take out any other flying Heartless in half a bullet to restore a strong 8% of your health. It's real hard to die. Just keep laying the homing missiles on the Vulture until you can get close enough to land on him. Then American Ninja Warrior your way up to his beak and watch him stare at you stupidly while you whack him over and over again. He's so taken aback at the idea of you clobbering his face that he doesn't even know how to react. Mash square at the appropriate times to block, get knocked off, find another plane, come back, and do it all again. Number 19, King of Toys. Bosses that are frequently out of range are a pain in my toy ass. This morbidly obese spaceship likes to float just barely high enough that it takes a few floating attacks to swing your way up to his vulnerable head. Watch out for rockets while you're up there. Also, did you know that Sora has the worst landing lag I have ever seen? I am mashing square right now. He will not block. If he ever does get in Smash, that better not carry over. Eventually, the wind will pick up and the ship will stay in the middle of the area, high above the ground, so you'll need to shot step your way up to him. Then after channeling the power of the Tornado Titan somehow, he will envelop himself in rushing wind and charge at you numerous times. Did you know you can guard in midair? Cause I didn't until I beat the game already. This is just a drawn-out battle in general, so bring snacks, or break a single egg and have Little Chef turn it into a 3-course meal. Number 18, Grim Guardianess. This is what happens to the Devouring Mother when an Organization 13 member turns her coat into a giant tree monster. The Grim Guardianess is a boss that does almost nothing. You'll be treated to the occasional head bash or bird swarm. The only notable thing that happens is when she climbs on top of the tower and raises fences to block your path while dropping little meteor gumballs everywhere. Jump through the first gap, then turn around to jump through the second, then back around to keep running towards her, then just play Kingdom Hearts 3 until she's dead. Number 17, Vanitas. Vanitas was trouble in Birth by Sleep, but Aqua's not having any of his shit this time around. His teleportation counters to your moves no longer matter when you can just Spellweaver right in his black helmet face and invincibility your way through his reprisals. And Aqua still has her trademark 360 guard, so the square button does wonders. She also does like massive damage, especially with spells, so yeah, Vanitas ain't nothing but a Sora cosplay gone wrong in this game. Number 16, Catastrochorus. No joke, that's its name in the gummy phone, Catastrochorus, whose name should be Catastrosaurus if you're going for the catastrophe and dinosaur merge. This boss charges and occasionally breathes fire, but it's docile for long periods of time while you murder it. His weak spot changes as the fight goes on, from his face to a little volcano hump thing to a lightning palm tree tail thing. I don't get it, man. Number 15, Kaos Carriage. Like the rock golem, this boss shows up again and has a lesser form, but in this boss fight, I find the carriage to be pretty dangerous if you don't guard effectively. Prior to you even dealing with the carriage, you have to knock a ton of monkeys off a rook like they're playing Bloons Tower Defense, and then the horse part of the carriage shows itself and proceeds to stampede you repeatedly. There are only like 2 attacks to watch out for, but they hit pretty hard, and if you're in the middle of a combo, it's tough to quickly block when you see them coming. Once you defeat one horse, the next one pops out like the babushka doll of equestrian darkness, and you have to go through the motions again and again until it's done. Number 14, Angelic Amber. Oh my. Whoever thought this boss was a good idea deserves a Medal of Courage, and I approve because we are fighting an anime girl doll possessed by darkness, and what could be more Japanese than that? This toddler waifu ragdolls around the field with unnatural jerking motions that would make you pee your pants in a horror setting, but here it's just unsettling. Some might say arousing, but I'm not those some, rest assured. Her attacks are tough to pin down and don't have much warning unless she comes rocketing at you from across the room. Speaking of rockets, use that team attack when you can. Team attacks and form changes and finishing moves are all great, not only for the damage, but because they provide temporary windows of invincibility you can use to negate attacks and recover your MP if it's run out from cure. You should use them as defensive moves just as often as offensive ones. This fight is either child abuse or relationship abuse, depending on who you are and who I am. Number 13, Dark Baymax. This is another fight that sucks in my estimation, unless you particularly enjoy chasing a flying robot with your own flying robot and holding the R2 button for 5 minutes, culminating in an actual clash where you can't block and your so-called personal healthcare companion is stingy with the heals. Baymax's team attack also packs like no punch at all. Yes, it does damage. That's not what I mean. The punches don't feel powerful. The enemy might as well be running into your outstretched fist like Steve-O did to Mike Tyson at the Charlie Sheen roast, and that was a moment for some reason. It's best to shoot at a distance when you're low on health and use your fists to strike the cubes that get sent your way. Number 12, Tornado Titan. The Tornado Titan has the power of suck with 2 C's and uses it to blast you up in the air before firing flaming projectiles and chunks of debris at you. From then on, you're in a perpetual state of falling as you desperately try to aim yourself towards the cyclone like a storm chaser with no self-preservation instincts. If you see an attack coming, you can aim for a floating piece of building to shot step out of harm's way, but mostly the Titan has an annoying habit of just being located elsewhere. Where you're at, he ain't there. It's infuriating, but he goes down like anyone else, after 10 minutes of begging and several promised favors. Number 11, Davy Jones. We've been through 15 bosses so far, and this is only the second human-shaped one, third if you count the evil anime girl. KH3 really brings the big bosses. Davy Jones is no big boss, but he does have some slimy tricks up his face tentacles, like being able to melt into the ground and do a little damage that way, plus his other attacks that also do a little damage. You can mash X here. You can mash X in almost every fight in this game, though, and especially when you get the knockback counterattack, you're just mashing X and then you get hit, and you mash circle and then X, and then you mash more X, and by the end your controller is toast. Davy Jones isn't much of a threat, and you can combo him way high in the air, which is fun. Number 10, Lump of Horror. Best boss name by far. Lump of Horror can be used to describe many things. Prison food, bowel movements, your pregnant wife, or a heartless slime monster like what you're currently fighting. This is the first fight in the game that makes you guard, or at least punishes you for not doing it, because the Lump of Horror frequently does ramming attacks you'll otherwise get hit by. You may also notice that he takes like 900% reduced damage because he's an armored swamp of garbage. It's only when he comes to the middle of the stage, starts spawning goo hands and disrobes himself that you can do any real damage. He's fond of knocking you back repeatedly with gusts of wind while you're trying to capitalize on his weakness, which isn't annoying at all, but I did throw my PS4 out the window for posterity. If you get the splash attraction, you can use it to drive around the stage and kill all the hands, though you should probably focus damage on the boss instead. Yeah, definitely do that instead. Number 9, Aqua. She mad. You would be too if you got deserted in hell for a decade. I straight up can't believe she forgave them. I'd have held that grudge for at least a couple years. Corrupted by misery and despair, Aqua is here to take out her aggression on her would-be rescuers because they late AF. Well-timed guards will block all her attacks, as I demonstrate very infrequently in this footage. Sometimes she'll split into multiple clones of herself, a skill I've been trying to teach my girlfriend for weeks, to no avail. Hey, maybe I just want the extra conversation. Eventually you'll get the pirate ship attraction command, and then it's water versus water, only your water's way better, and you're invincible, and it's fun to just see her get knocked around in what is otherwise supposed to be a serious encounter. Number 8, Skull. Skull is the coolest boss in this game, hands down, which is weird because Hans is on screen for all of 5 seconds before he turns into this. Like, he does not deserve a Heartless this cool. Skull is a furry's fantasy come to life. He fights a bit like Scar from Kingdom Hearts 2, running around the arena and charging, only way bigger. If you get Marshmallow's team attack, you can do absolutely crazy damage, or get interrupted 2 hits in by Skull starting his giant Frieza death ball attack. During this attack, it will start to rain darkness and little tadpole wolves until it's time to press triangle to fill the ball with light and turn it back into ice, really ruining Skull's day in the process. This boss is just epic. The most appropriate use of that word since before Fortnite came out. Number 7, Lightning Angler. This boss proves that Sora should be the Guinness World Record holder for dumbest idiot on the planet. It starts with a chest placed suspiciously in the sand, beneath what are obviously 2 giant electric antennae, and Sora's just like, I'll go check it out, I'm a pirate! Like, no Sora, you're retarded, and you shouldn't get out of this unscathed. Which you won't, if you're fighting this boss, because the Lightning Angler is an underwater boss, which means dealing with underwater combat, which isn't bad, I don't think, but it's harder to stop your own combos and get out of the way of attacks. I had to rapid swim away a few times and wait for my MP to charge, which the angler pretty much lets you do without a fuss, but every time you get back in there, it's a dangerous situation. I also think this boss looks awesome. Just the jagged edge design, it really looks menacing, but also kind of cute at the same time. Maybe it's just me. Number 6, Demon Tower. Oh my god, I'm sick of this thing. There are literally 5 or 6 times you'll run into this boss, and all but one of them are mandatory. I'm just ranking the final one as the culmination, where you can finally put this mother-father down for good, until the Monsters Inc. Battlegate, of course, but that one's wimpy in comparison. I didn't learn this in time, but the Demon Tower's shadow eyes glow red when it's in damage output mode, so you should focus on defending and wait for them to turn yellow again to safely bring the pain. Amidst the horde of shadows is a little disgusting glob of bloody earwax that moves slowly and is very vulnerable. Always wail on that when you get the chance. Then when you see the Heartless getting restless, back off and prepare to defend once more. Speaking of once more is now called Withstand Combo, which is a much more on-the-nose name, and make sure you have that equipped if you can. You'll need it for these later fights. Number 5, Sykes. The 5th hardest boss in Kingdom Hearts 3 is Sykes, and Sykes is the only Organization 13 member to have a real health bar, so he's the only one I'm putting in this list. Starting the battle off with a shot lock is a good way to do a health bar and a half of damage right out of the gate. He's pretty much the same Sykes from Kingdom Hearts 2, which is to say he is extremely dangerous, and when he goes berserk, you best get the hell out of the way and wait for him to cool down. Roxas and Xion are your partners for this fight, and when Sykes is stunned and all 3 of you are going to town, his health can't drain fast enough. Just don't overextend or get greedy, cause Sykes can and will take you out with a single combo. He's a glass cannon. Number 4, Ansem/Xemnas/Young Xehanort. There's too many Xehanorts, bro. This fight consists of you defeating 3 different versions of Xehanort while Xehanort watches you from above. Their attacks aren't very distinguishable, and since it's a Hort encounter, you can pretty much get away with just spamming X on whoever's nearest first, and then focusing them down until they each die one by one. They're all rather nice to Sora in their final moments, pretty much giving them thumbs ups and fist bumps as they fade away. There's no strategy here, they don't have much health, and it all goes down pretty fast. Doesn't mean they can't kill you though, they do good damage, you just have to maximize your invincibility windows and use as many team attacks as possible. Number 3, Armored Xehanort. There's too many Xehanorts, bro. Master Xehanort puts on some satanic cultist Lamb of God armor and goes bananas. This is as floaty as a boss battle gets. The arena is purely vertical and most of what happens is going to be done in the air. I especially like the part where I'm about to do a max shot lock on him, but he just decides to cancel my attack and go spout a giant flame pillar. That's neat. The fire is hard to dodge while worrying about where Lucifer Nord is. After some more health has passed, you'll be teleported underwater where you're the only one who acts like you're underwater. Luckily, your attacks gain massive range, so it's actually easier to deal damage here. He'll teleport again, and then you're back in the air dodging more fire and getting face grabbed and thrown to the ground like the sniveling whelp you are. I don't like to rely on risk for him as a heal, since you can't heal afterwards until it runs out, but when you're in a pinch, you're in a pinch. Number 2, Final Xehanort. There's too many Xehanorts, bro. I don't have footage of the first phase of this boss because it's designed as a checkpoint system, and when I died to the second phase the first time, I deleted the footage, not knowing it would start me back at the second phase. First phase is easy anyway, second phase might just mess you up. There's a built-in mechanic where Xehanort steals your light and you automatically turn into risk form, and you can't get out of it until you land enough hits on him to trigger a cleanse. This will be fine if his attacks weren't largely unpredictable, as well as his tendency to not stagger, though some saving grace is he does seem to do like 1,000,000% reduced damage during this section, since the game knows it wrote a situation where you can't heal. So I died to that phase 3 or 4 times. Then you get to the third phase and enter the nexus of bullshit. Xehanort's 13 darknesses are all present and accounted for, ready to fly in and attack and shoot purple lasers from their perches and combo into each other non-stop and stunlock you to death. Your job is to avoid death for about 30 seconds until Xehanort comes back down to basically revisit his first phase, where you can then pretty easily kill him after having a Keyblade Kamehameha battle where the power of Trinity and friendship perseveres over the ultimate X-Blade somehow. Excuse me, Keyblade. That gauntlet, though, is just nonsense. Number 1, Dark Inferno. The hardest boss in Kingdom Hearts 3 was added post-launch to a battle gate, and it's the Dark Inferno, a monster of unspecified origin and characteristics wearing dual swords and energy heals. You should get some lingering will flashbacks as you fight a boss that's fast and is only vulnerable immediately after it executes attacks, though Dark Inferno isn't as hard as that fight was, I think. I beat him at like level 64, doing about a health bar's worth of damage per combo. Inferno's first phase is cake, and meant to introduce you to what you're fighting. Always defer to his terms. He controls the battle. Don't try to force the issue. You can combo him for as long as until he starts to hold his swords up in a defensive position. Any attack done on him past that will trigger an immediate reprisal, and if you try to power through his power through, he won't stagger. If he leaps to the side and flies toward you, guard and immediately counterattack. Don't hesitate or delay your counter input, or he might power through it. This is a guaranteed stun for the first 2 phases. If he starts swinging straight at you, guard repeatedly until you feel the red slash coming, then roll out of the way, because anytime his sword slashes create a red current, they're unblockable. You'll learn to recognize when they're coming. If he starts charging up his AoE red slash, you can jump right over it and follow up with a combo. After you do enough damage, his swords will turn purple, indicating the start of the second phase, where it becomes much more pertinent for you to immediately counter his side-flying attack, lest he ignore your counter completely. In this phase, you will occasionally hear a ching sound after he finishes an attack. That would usually leave him vulnerable, but that sound means he's going to ready another one with no downtime, so listen for it. There isn't much call in Kingdom Hearts 3 for proper utilization of the Withstand combo ability, but you definitely need it here. Your MP is precious. That means you do not heal unless you're at 1 HP, period. 2 HP is as good as full HP, unless he's doing the attack with the white orbs, which have delays between them long enough to kill you regardless of Withstand combo. You can roll through those with the right timing, similar to Lingering Will's arrow attack back in KH2, where you have to anticipate the rhythm. Another option if you have a Keyblade form change available is to wait until right when the first group of orbs are set to strike, and then press triangle and invincible through it. Dark Inferno's third phase sees him turn his swords red, which doesn't make all his attacks unblockable, but it does mean he extends them way longer than he should now, and you are gonna mash square like there's no tomorrow, cause for you there ain't if you don't. I still haven't nailed down how to counter him in this phase consistently. The immediate counter you were doing after his side flying doesn't work the same anymore. He just keeps right on attacking, and if you try to fight through it, you'll be at 1 HP in a hot second. In this phase, you should abuse shot lock while he's slowly circling you. I got 2 good ones on him and did about 3.5 bars of damage, and from there I was able to flounder my way through to killing him. It wasn't that skillful, but it was effective. Well, that's gonna do it for this boss ranking. I hope you enjoyed it. I've got others for the past Kingdom Hearts games, as well as Souls games, among other things. Waifu rankings too, everybody loves those. And I'm gonna start a KH3 playthrough pretty soon also. You should stick around for all of that. Follow me on Twitter at Sunburned Albino, and I'll see you guys next time.